Thank you very much. Very good morning. Jai Hind to all, and very warm welcome to Dr. Uma Ganesh. As you know, Dr. Uma Ganesh is keynote speaker today. So, very warm welcome to our guest speaker. I think what's name? Silpi Sharma is one. Then Silpa Marwa is there. So, very warm welcome to both of you, and very warm welcome to all the Riversiders. Uh, I don't have any announcement today, so I will be directly going because we are very eager to listen today our keynote speaker, Dr. Uma Ganesh. So I will be inviting uh, Prerna Gaikwad, Secretary Roti Club Pune Riverside, for two things. One is for secretarial announcement, and another to introduce and welcome Dr. Uma Ganesh. Over to Prerna.
Very good morning, Colonel. Thank you so much. Welcome to everyone present here today. Please pardon me for being with my video off because I have some network issues. Thanks to the rain in Pune, and everything goes for a toss. So, secretarial announcements, we have Mukesh Malhotra's birthday on the 12th of June. So, here's wishing him very happy birthday on behalf of all of us. I'll move on to introducing our guest speaker for today, who I think all of us are very keen to listen to because succeeding in a man's world is something all of us really are looking forward to knowing the secrets behind that. So here goes. Dr. Uma Ganesh has a bachelor's degree in economics, an MBA from the Faculty of Management Studies, New Delhi, and a PhD from IIT Bombay. With 3 decades of success in corporate and entrepreneurial ventures covering manufacturing, media, banking, education, and IT, Dr. Uma has built expertise in entrepreneurial strategy, skills development, and digital empowerment management platforms. Her entrepreneurial venture, Global Talent Track, attracted investments by Intel Capital, CISCO, and Helion Ventures. This venture is one of the leading vocational skills company that uses the blended learning model and acts as a bridge between the academia and the industry. Global Talent Track and its digital platform Skills Alpha have so far impacted 1.2 million youth in the country. Dr. Uma has also co-founded 5S World, which is focused on investment in digital startups, digital transformation related consulting, and growth advisory for entrepreneurs. Besides these ventures, she is the co-founder of Global Talent Track Foundation, aimed at employability and women's empowerment of underprivileged sections of the society. Dr. Uma's last corporate assignment was with HSBC as their Chief Corporate Development Officer for its global resourcing business, where she was responsible for the next generation transformation in the bank's global in-house house centers in the Asian footprint. Prior to this, she was with Z Media as the CEO of Z Education with a mandate to build a scalable new business in education as an offshoot of the primary media business. Dr. Uma serves on the boards of the Center of AI and Advanced Analytics and Calzum Advisors, both India-US joint ventures, and healthcare company eMoha Allumus Partner Venture. She has played leadership roles in several industry forums: CII, NHRD Network, Bombay Management Association, Indian Women's Network, and the MCCIA. She has co-authored 2 books with Dr. Ganesh Rajan, a McGraw-Hill publication, Knowledge for Accelerating Digital Success, a Bloomsbury publication. She also has a regular column in the Financial Express focused around digital technologies, skill, and socio-economic impact. I think this list can go on, but I will hand over to Dr. Uma. We're all very eager to listen to you today. Please go ahead. It's all yours.
Thank you very much, Prerna, for that wonderful introduction and for your kind words. Thank you very much, Colonel Mishra, for inviting me for being part of today's session. It's indeed a privilege to be here with all of you to talk about this subject on how I have really looked at, which is largely the man's world, and how and what kind of a role a woman can play, and how have I been able to navigate through this process over the years. Before I begin, I just want to mention that in today's session, I thought I will actually share with you a few stories, a few incidents which shaped my thinking and which helped me um, get some key takeaways. And that's how I'm going to structure my thinking or structure my discussions today with all of you. I'll spend about half an hour narrating some of these incidents. And I would also like to start by mentioning that what you're going to be hearing from me, or some of you who know who I am or what background I come from, it's a very normal background that I come from. I've had a happy childhood, very supporting parents, and very joyful growing up years. And therefore, in that whole scenario, whether it was participating in extracurricular activities, getting involved with NCC, being a best shot in NCC a few times, going out for camps, debates, and doing reasonably well in academics. All of that actually gave me a lot of confidence and gave me and my siblings a lot of confidence about our own identity and what we can go out and do in the rest of our careers. In fact, I owe a great deal to my parents and to my grandmother, who believed in bringing up their children. We are 3 sisters and 2 brothers, without absolutely any difference whatsoever. And in fact, when I got selected for MBA at FMS, and I stood second overall in the merit list of admission in FMS Delhi, I grew up in a small town called Pondicherry. And a lot of my parents' friends and others would say, what are you trying to do? Send your daughter all the way? And mind you, this was in the 70s, when going anywhere outside of Chennai was like going abroad, or, like you going away from familiar zone. Very little communication. Most families did not have telephones. Even our family, we never had a telephone. So how are you going to be in touch with her? And what are you trying to do here? This was something that a lot of their friends and others in Pondicherry, and some of our relatives in far-off locations had to tell my parents. But my parents and my grandmother, who lived to the ripe age of 109 and whom I have taken as a role model forever and ever, and even today, I continue to think of her in similar lines. They were absolutely gung-ho, and they said, come on, okay, here is an opportunity for you to go and excel and do what you want to do. So that was the, backing I had of my family. And, the whole town it was a very small town at that time, just less than 100,000 population, 1 lakh population. So everybody knew everybody, from rickshawala to government officers, everybody knew everybody. And they were all, a large group of people actually came to Pondicherry railway station to see me off, which I vividly remember. So with that kind of backing and support, I go to Delhi, I do my MBA, and I do very well, and I get 4 campus placements, which was something, very unique at that point of time, and all blue chip organizations. And finally, the day of reckoning arrived when I had to really become part of the workforce. And I got my, I decided to work with out of the 4, I decided to choose a manufacturing company, which decided to post me in Chennai. So I started off my serious career, so to say, in Chennai. And that's where the real world, the realities of the real world actually started to hit me. And for the first time, when I was maybe 21 or 22, that was when I started realizing what it is to be a woman and what it is to be a woman and find a place in the corporate world. Maybe it was my unique experience. Maybe it was the time, it was the location where I was situated. But it's a lot of challenges I started experiencing thereafter, where the lessons of my life for the years to come. So the first experience was the set of bosses I had in that organization, both of whom were wondering why I was here, a girl in a manufacturing world without an engineering degree and an MBA, which was a rarity in those days, and somebody who had, quote unquote, from the north. And what is she trying to do here? So you wouldn't believe this, but I was not assigned any work, any responsibility for most part of the time that I was with the organization. I was just earning my salary, and I used to feel very guilty about not being able to do any work. And I used to go around asking some of the colleagues there, can you give me some work? And whenever I approached my bosses, they simply said, well, we will think about it, and there is really not much work here for you. So they were hoping that maybe I will just, get fed up and move away. I don't know what was really going on. And so one day I was so frustrated that I decided to just take a break and stay in the hostel where I was staying. And in the hostel, I was ruminating over what was really happening. And those days, it was not very easy to find jobs outside of the campus. So should I give up? What am I doing? My parents have invested in me in terms of their belief that I can go change the world. I know that I can do a lot of things. And I've done MBA, which was so difficult to get in at that time. Very few institutions, as you know, were offering MBA program. And every MBA interview, I would have been asked by the potential employers, are you sure as a woman you really want to take up the job? Are you sure you wouldn't get married and you would not really give up? And to every one of those questions, I had answered very boldly saying, no, I'm really serious and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. So I was asking myself, I have given those promises and I've given a promise to myself and I had this aspiration. What am I doing here? So it resulted in my actually writing a story. When I say story, an article actually. And in a half, I just sent it off to Economic Times and I forgot all about it. And it was all about why are organizations hiring women MBAs, and if they didn't have a role for them, they shouldn't be hiring. All of what I was experiencing, actually I wrote in that article and I just sent it off with my name on it, right? And a week later, I get a call from my friend in Delhi, my classmate in Delhi. Hey, Uma, you've written this article. It has come on the front page of Economic Times. My God, I rushed to get a copy of Economic Times. And lo and behold, yes, it was there in the front page, right at the bottom, the full spread at the bottom. And then I started wondering, oh my goodness, my boss, they used to get Economic Times first thing in the morning, and that used to be something that will occupy him for full 30 minutes. So he's certainly going to see it. He's going to see the name. He's going to see the content in there. And what am I going to be told? I would definitely be sacked. That was what I thought. And therefore, I decided to bunk office and I stayed on in my hostel that day. And then the following day, I quietly walked into the office and I was thinking, okay, today is the day of reckoning for me in this organization. And as I was seated there, then my colleague suddenly said, you know what? Today, the boss is not in the office. He's unwell. He wasn't here yesterday too. So what really turned out as, what I thought would be a nightmare actually turned out to be a pleasant surprise. And I got away literally with that article. And then I just kind of said, okay, now this adventure I've had, I need to now rethink, and I have to be careful going forward what I say, what I think, what I say, and how I say. So if that was a sort of a frustrating first year for me in that organization, soon thereafter, in fact, Ganesh and I had met at this company's interviews in Bombay way back, and then we stayed in touch. And then when we had the opportunity to meet each other, and then a few months later, we decided to get married. And then we decided to, Ganesh was already in Nasik, and I thought really nothing much was happening for me in Chennai. So maybe a change of place will really do good for me, both personally as well as professionally. So moved to Nasik. Now, Nasik, I had another interesting story and another interesting experience. This was a place which was full of Datta Samant. He was a union leader those days. And Datta Samant influenced workers, workmen, other unions and so on. And one of the leaders from that union had just been brought into the officer cadre. And my boss gave me, I was supposed to be handling marketing and product management for a set of industrial products. And one of the first assignments, and here he had given me a solid assignment, and I was so gung-ho and so excited about, my being able to do something meaningful after all this while, that I really, got onto this assignment with my total energy. And he told me to collect some data and come up with a presentation, come up with some strategy, all of what, if one would have learned in MBA. I thought here is an opportunity for me to implement all of those. So I go into the shop floor looking for this gentleman. And then I told him, with all my, like I'm here, the MBA. And so that was what I was thinking, that I'm a special person and I'm going to make a meaningful contribution. And when I asked the gentleman for some data, he just flatly ignored me and he walked past. And even after trying for a few days, I was not able to get the data from him. So when I went back and reported to my manager, sorry, I'm trying my best, but this is not working out. And I thought my boss will say, don't worry, I will call this guy and I'll give him a peace of mind. But then he turned around and he said, look, Uma, you're supposed to be an MBA. You've come here wanting to do this role. I have given you this very important assignment. Don't keep coming to me and telling me that this guy is not able to help you. How are you going to manage a team if you can't manage to get data from one gentleman? You go and sort it out, and I'm not going to come anywhere in this matter. So that was the second learning for me, to figure out that here, yes, there will be these kind of situations, and I got to do something about it. And then I navigated through that process, and then rest is, as they say, history. For me, it took me a full 1 month to really come down to earth, to work at his timings, to be available at his beck and call, and then get the data out of him, and then put together the strategy, which eventually I could present to my boss. But that sort of an incident really proved this whole thing about, you might have whatever education, ultimately you have to deal with people, and you have to deal with people at all levels. And whether you're a man or a woman, and especially if you're a woman, you need to be extra conscious about how you get things done at various levels. The next incident I want to narrate to all of you is, what really happened in terms of a role change. I had my daughter was delivered, and I had a break of 3 months those days, not 6 months like today. And then I had to get back to work. So when I got back to work, by then I realized there was a new general manager in that plant. And this general manager had just returned from the UN, and he had some very different, he was not an insider. He was somebody who had come from outside, and he had a lot of new ideas and fresh perspectives on how business should be run and how organizations should be managed. So he saw in me someone he felt that he could take on as his executive assistant. And he gave me some phenomenal opportunities to do analysis, to come up with a whole lot of things that a general manager would like to look at from a plant's perspective. And I became so-called his blue-eyed girl for a while. And, all of 23, 24, and here was this elderly gentleman who was actually showering fatherly love onto me. And he was making me challenge myself and do a whole lot of things, which I was so excited about, that sometimes I would even sit very late in the office to complete the work. But, being a small town and surrounded by people who were not exposed to such kind of working methods, all kind of rumors started floating around. But then I must say that thanks to Ganesh, my husband, my family, none of this actually bothered me. And it gave me that confidence that this is the reality, Uma, and you need to actually stand up and believe in yourself, in whatever you're doing, and ignore what the rest of the world has to say. And sure enough, after some time, murmurs died down when they saw, that it was work which was the intention, and no other intention was behind my staying back and working late hours and so on and so forth. While these were some interesting incidents I can recall from my days in Nasik, soon thereafter, I had the opportunity to move to Delhi, to work in Mumbai, work in Delhi. And in Delhi, especially that stint that I had with NIIT, that changed my whole perspective about a woman in Delhi. While the outside world and in Delhi, even today, people do say it's a fairly unsafe place for women. And, I had a fantastic time at NIIT where women and men way back in the 70s and 80s were totally treated on par, were given significant responsibilities. I had the opportunity to lead career education there, which is a huge business for NIIT at that time. And that also gave me this perspective of how to really work with professionals shoulder to shoulder. How husband and wife can work in the same organization and can carry professionalism into workplace and can be treated as respected professionals by others in the organization. So with that sort of an approach, I really learned a lot, and I grew, my confidence grew further, and started taking on high levels of responsibilities. And one of the last stories or incidents which kind of I would like to also share with all of you is when I was part of Zee TV, Zee Television, Zee Education is a business that I was running. At times I used to, it was required of me to attend late night parties. I used to get sometimes calls late in the midnight. And those calls used to go on for quite some time. But once again, fantastic support, unstinted belief and trust that my family had in me, my mother-in-law, my daughter. All of these really helped me think about work and think about how I can really impact people, business, community, and society in my own way. And the support they extended and they continue to extend to me, and particularly my family and my parents and everybody. That has really stood me in good stead right through my career. And so as a result of all of this, about 10 odd years back, when I decided that I have had good experience and a lot of exposure working in the corporate world, and the rest of my active life, I want to do something of my own. And that's something that I had never experienced, to be an entrepreneur. Although while within Zee, I was an entrepreneur, and I had some fantastic learnings working with this very closely with my boss, Subhash Chandra, and watching him in action. So I got very inspired to do something of my own. And then Ganesh and I decided to set up Global Talent Track, which is the first venture we set out. And when we set up this venture, our goal was in about 10 years time frame, we should actually be able to impact at least 1 million people for employability. We were delighted and heartened to see that we could achieve this goal in less than 8 years. And now we have a fresh goal that by 2025, we should double this number, take it to 2 million people. And alongside this, the foundation that we have set up, while we have started looking at working closely with persons with disability, people from marginalized sections of the society, and women in particular, we have come up with an interesting program called Udyogini. And this program is not just training women for skills, but it is actually helping them for livelihood creation and sustenance, for which we are using technology. And that is where a lot of my learning and association and networks, which have centered around technology industry, we have brought in all of those. And we have got a fabulous team which is putting together these technology platforms through which we are hoping to create markets and access to customers. And while it is a small beginning, we have made some beginnings in Pune, in Mumbai, in near Ahmedabad, in a place called Umred. And we are spreading our wings in rest of Maharashtra. Our goal is to have 100,000 Udyoginis onto this platform in the next 3 years' time. And we are already working towards this goal. So, of course, today's scenario as compared to the 70s and 80s is totally different. We have so many more women in the workforce, so many women as CEOs, so many women who are setting up entrepreneurial ventures, and several women who are moving out of their comfort zone, staying with their immediate families, moving to places like Pune, Bangalore, Delhi, where jobs are available. So it's indeed very, very heartening to find that in India, while we have uh, different, you can say, categories of women who are facing different, continuing to face different sets of challenges, we are seeing at the same time a phenomenal transformation happening to those who are educated, those who have the willpower, those who really want to change, positioning themselves in brilliant ways. And I can see that, for instance, with my own daughter, who is heading one of the most prestigious labs for cancer research and also seeing patients simultaneously, how she holds herself amidst persons from different cultures. In her lab, there are, in fact, people from several countries, from Turkey, from Israel, from US, from Italy, and so on and so forth. And, this kind of different set of challenges now women face. How do you deal with different people coming from different cultures? Because women would have been perceived or looked upon in their respective cultures in different ways. Science or technology continues to be a difficult field where we often find that women are not able to break the glass ceiling, and they give up their careers somewhere along the line, although they get into the industry or into scientific stream after some time, because of lack of support or whatever may be the challenges they face, they are unable to continue. But some women are still managing to get going. I'm also happy to inform you that in our own organization, we have more than 70% are women, and I find them so gregarious and passionate and wanting to take on responsibilities for impacting the business and impacting the people around them. And the other delightful fact is that out of the 11 ventures in which we have invested, 9 of them are led by women, and 5 of them are majority-owned businesses in which women are in leadership positions. So all in all, narrating these stories, navigating through this last 30 years journey and looking at what particularly has happened in the last 10 years, the transformation that is happening all around me. I'm grateful for the privilege that I have had of having supporting family right through. And being able to have had the opportunity to be recognized for my talent and not being seen as just a woman by the corporates who hired me, or for that matter, now when we are trying to hire other people and work with them. It's a merit which ultimately matters. And I hope this sort of a thinking and this sort of an approach will pervade through our society, as it is beginning to happen in many organizations, in many parts of our lives already. But it has to happen in a significantly more ways than one. And that is the reason I have kind of decided to focus on how we can enable 100,000 women, as I said, to have a sustainable livelihood opportunities. And this will be my one small contribution to the cause of women to be successful in their own, in achieving their own aspirations and in their own careers. So on that note, I must stop here because I was given 25 minutes to about 30 minutes to speak. So I would like to stop here and would be happy to see if you have any questions, and we'll be happy to take them. Over to you.
Thank you, Ma'am. It's amazing, amazing. And to moderate, I would like to invite Ganeshi. So over to Ganeshi. Yeah.
Ganesh is going to ask me questions. Okay. Interesting. Looks like Ganesh is not there.
Okay, no problem. No problem.
Looks like he said he had another meeting starting at 9. Maybe he has just had to move there. So
In fact, I invited him just to moderate, not to ask the question. So you can handle both, and floor is open. I request all the esteemed members to ask the questions.
Yeah. Okay.
Ma'am, I'll ask you the first question.
Yes, sure.
It was a very nice speech, but one question which I had, ma'am, is that you've seen the 70s and 80s, you've seen the work environment now. Do you think the mindset and acceptability has changed over a period of time? I mean, with women folk coming into the corporate world?
Shilpa, you yourself are such a fantastic role model in the investment community, in the financial services business. And you can see around you in your own organization, Kotak and other financial services institutions, how many women are playing key roles. So as I said, yes, there are still glass ceilings, and still there might be different perceptions with certain people. That may be due to their upbringing, maybe to based on the background where they come from. But I think it's all about women who have to ultimately, who want to make a difference and who want to position themselves. If women are confident, and that's a big lesson I learned in my life, that if you're confident, if you're passionate, if you're focused, nothing can come in our way. Of course, there will be challenges, but because you're confident and passionate, you will find your way to navigate through those challenges. That is what I would like to say. While working in my corporate life, I find that many times um, maybe the males in the organization do not provide that supportive role. But many times it is the women who also are very contented with wanting to play that kind of supportive role and not play a lead role. Take a small example. All of us, when we have small children who are going to schools, often there are commitments at the schools, which require us to go and show our faces or participate in the progress of the children. Why is it that only women have to do this every time? Why can't men also share the responsibility? A small example. So like this, there could be many, many such instances where women, say, I can't travel because, my mother-in-law will not allow me, or I can't travel by train. While if you allow me to travel by flight, I can. So in all of these situations, if, there is a level breaker because of which you can't, your policy doesn't permit you, I would simply turn around and tell them, see, you are entitled to travel by train. You want to fly, you can contribute the difference and you can fly. And why am I saying this? Because I do not want rest of the organization to know that we have a special treatment because you're a woman. And while you are fantastic in your work, rest of the organization needs to know that it is because of your work and your own capability that you've got your recognition and promotion. So there are instances like that which we are likely to face, situations like that, where women may not be very conscious about how they need to protect their identity and how they need to present themselves. And they speak from a position of weakness when you make such requests. You've got to be in a position of strength and take a step back and look at yourself in the mirror and say, I am one more employee in the organization. And everybody, when it comes to promotion, when it comes to money, when it comes to responsibilities, when I want to be treated on par, why should I not be treated on par when it comes to policy matters as well? Of course, many organizations are very, very supportive of the needs of women. And we all know the fantastic support organizations like ICICI Bank has provided to women way before the government came out with this policy of 6 months maternity leave. And as a result of their policy, several women have managed to continue with their careers and have reached the top-notch positions in the bank. So we need that kind of supportive environment, definitely. But I personally believe it is up to women to break the glass ceiling and to deal with the challenges that they may be facing, as you have done so successfully,
Sure.
Shilpa.
No, thank you, ma'am. No, I see in the banking industry, you see a lot of women and acceptability is extremely high. But like what you mentioned with your first job, I don't know if other industries we are still seeing that, inflow of women come in. So hence the question.
Well, yeah, you're right. I mean, the inflow of women into manufacturing is still very, very meager. Some organizations like I know some of the organizations like Cummins are making an effort to bring on board Eaton, for instance. They're all trying to bring on board more women into manufacturing sector. I'm also seeing that a lot of technology companies, they are making humongous efforts, whether it's IBM or Accenture or Barclays. They already have maybe 30%, 35% women, but a lot of them want to take it beyond 50%. So looking at all of them, I'm sure manufacturing sectors, other companies also will start making such efforts. And the more, confident and the more noise we make and more, when I say noise, positive noise we make, I think, um, I mean, there was a time when in one of those units that I was working in, there was no toilet for women. So, I mean, I'm sure there are many women who have shared these stories. I mean, I was the first MBA in that organization, women MBA, to be part of. So, but then you find a way around. When you say I'm here and I'm going to make it happen, things for me, things will fall in place. It's a positive approach, which I think makes a
Sure.
difference.
Thank you, ma'am.
Ma'am, if I may, good morning. I just wanted to ask you, in this seemingly hostile sort of an environment, there's going to be a lot of mental pressure when you are working in this sort of an environment. How would you recommend people should handle this mental pressure, and how did you handle this mental pressure? People's criticism, people passing innuendos, things like that. So how would you, recommend it, and how did you handle?
No, you are absolutely right. I went through tremendous mental pressure. Some of those incidents I mentioned, I mean, when you are being just treated as like something sitting at the table and at the desk and not giving you any work, and every passerby glaring at you and wondering, what is this person doing here? And you feel so guilty about taking salary. All of this, I mean, created tremendous mental pressure. I would say that it was just the determination at that stage. I mean, there are different forces help you. At one stage, it was sheer determination that this time will also pass. And at another time, it was the support from my family when those innuendos are passed and, people look at you differently. It's that tremendous support saying, hey, you're doing great job, or you are here to do work. You're not here to listen to anybody else. So you just uh, I was just, I think, lucky or fortunate to have that kind of phenomenal support from my husband and from my families who believed and who saw who I am and where I was coming from. So I guess that's what it is. I mean, I'm sure everybody will go through some sort of mental stress. These days, there are a lot of psychological support available, coaches available, whom you can reach out to. Nothing wrong in taking such help, because you need to, talk through the dilemmas that you're going through. You need to have a sounding board, and it will not be always somebody within the office, because within the office, sometimes they will see things as black and white. And therefore, reaching out to someone else outside the family and getting that support is probably one of the ways. And today, there are also women's circles where women are able to come together and say, hey, I had this situation, I handled this way. And I remember when I was part of NHRD network, when I was leading the chapter in Pune, we did create some of these women's circles when we got them together, and we got them to talk about how are they facing situations, how are they addressing those challenges. I guess being required to continue to do a whole lot of these kind of initiatives we need to put in place for women to feel confident and respected in their workplace.
So should this be part of the training per se, right from the beginning? When I say right from the beginning, I say even school and college and further studies.
Absolutely. I mean, many schools, particularly schools, I would say in college, it's a little too late. In the schools, um, I think some of the schools are making an effort, but there's a lot to be done in terms of creating that kind of gender sensitivity amongst children. And also at home, we continue to tell our children this is girls' work and this is boys' work. And hopefully, after lockdown, all of those differences must have vanished, and men would have seen what it means for women to do certain types of work. And we see more of sharing of the work from at home. And I hope that trend will continue. Another thing, about management concepts and management principles, you open any management textbook, it's all situated in a man's world, even today. There is hardly, and this is a theme on which I keep telling Ganesh that maybe one day you and I will have to sit down and think about this and write a book as to how do you manage women managing men, how do men manage women, and how do um, you know men deal with women bosses. I mean, these are all very different scenarios, something for which none of the textbooks, none of our MBA classes actually equip ourselves with the requisite attitude, psychological tools, and comfort within us that it is okay for me to have somebody who is 20 years younger and a woman as a boss, or it is okay for me to have five pretty women working for me, and I need to manage them and I need to get work done by them as a man. I think we need different kind of management research experiments and books to be written and help our, particularly in MBA schools, if we can get this embedded, this sort of a thought process and frameworks. We all believe in frameworks and tools. So I hope somebody is doing research, and this is a theme that maybe one day Ganesh and I will write a book on together. Because
Definitely.
Ganesh has always believed in women, and when there is a man and a woman with equal expertise or similar kind of capabilities, he would always choose a woman to a man. He has said this many times because he feels that in the long run, woman's sincerity and commitment has always something that has stood out. And of course, we have worked together. We have seen many things in similar ways. So maybe one day we will write a book together on this subject.
Thank you, ma'am. That's the need of the hour.
Thank you.
Jhelum has
I
one.
have a question.
Umesh, 1 minute. Sorry.
Okay.
Jhelum has one question on chat box, ma'am. So if you look that, or I can read for you. This is Uma. How do you see Indian women entrepreneurs ecosystem shaping? Will there be drastic change in coming years? This is the question from Jhelum.
Can you please repeat the question? I didn't get it fully.
Uma, how do you see
question, Colonel?
Yeah, directly you can ask. That's
Yeah,
great.
Jhelum.
See, Uma, it was wonderful to hear your story. See, do you see a drastic change in Indian entrepreneur ecosystem? Because my observation, and I may be wrong, that Indian women, when it comes to business, there are more business women than more entrepreneurs. I don't know whether this observation is right, but do you think this entrepreneurial ecosystem when it comes to women is changing drastically? And how do you see future in coming 5 years, 10 years down the line?
That's a brilliant observation and a brilliant question. And I'm glad you asked this question. See, the way I see this whole ecosystem for women, one fundamental shift that has happened, which is not going to regress, is the fact that more women are into professional education, technical education, more women are pursuing their master's education, and more women are working in the corporate world. That is certainly something that all of us are experiencing, and this will continue to grow. Now, the phenomenon of entrepreneurship, you're absolutely right. What does entrepreneurship fundamentally mean? Fundamentally, entrepreneurship is built around risk-taking ability to bring together capital, and ability to be persistent and knock multiple doors to sell your concept. Now, all these three are not something truly natural for women from where they are currently today. And there are exceptions like yourself. I mean, you have built a fantastic enterprise yourself, but you are right. We see a lot of women from business families, going forward to run their own family businesses or set up new businesses in which they flourish because they've had that kind of an environment where at the dinner table they have been hearing their fathers, grandfathers, brothers, and others talking about business. That comes very naturally to them. So if you're asking me, are we going to see more entrepreneurs amongst women? I would think that this has to wait another 15 or 10 to 15 years before when we will, by which time we will see that women who have been part of the corporate world have experienced what it is to be successful there. We will start seeing some of them actually navigate towards being entrepreneurs and being able to showcase themselves as role models. That in turn will encourage the next round of women to say, okay, why should I even be part of a corporate world? Why can't I be directly part of um, an entrepreneurial venture? Why can't I set up an entrepreneurial venture on my own? Another very important aspect I feel is going to impact women towards entrepreneurial initiatives is to do with some of the social factors which are still at play. We still have to grapple with, I'm now 25, 27. Should I get married? Should I get settled? What will my family say? What will my peers say? We're still grappling with that. So for women to be entrepreneurs, you got to be focused and you got to say nothing is going to come in my way. So how many of our women are able to deal with that challenge? I mean, they have dealt with the first challenge, which is to get out of their comfort zone and start looking at acquiring professional education. And okay, now that I've arrived here, next 5-10 years, let me do a good job, earn a predictable amount of money, set up my family, and do the adjustments with my in-laws, with my work, etc., etc. So they are in that zone. But to be an entrepreneur, you should be able to prioritize the business, the work before everything else. So your family, I mean, at least for short term, until such time that you are able to set up your business, you cannot then say, I've set up this business. I think I've got great opportunity. And by the way, if I have to get married, I have to shut shop and move to a different place. And I've heard some stories like these also of many women. So I think our social system also has to evolve, which will also take its own time. And therefore, in my view, it will be a decade or more before which I do not foresee very large number of women entrepreneurs coming out in the horizon. And sometimes when I look back at my own career, I often tell this to my friends that I enjoy this phase of being an entrepreneur so much. I love it so much. However small, however big the challenges have been, and however, my enterprise may not be the size of a very large enterprise like, the Ambanis or any other big enterprise. But it's my own. It's something that I have worked towards, and it's something that I am proud of. And I feel sometimes, had I set up this, taken this initiative when I was in the 20s or 30s, maybe, my thinking and my approach to how I build a business would have been very different. And maybe I could have grown into a substantially larger enterprise. So that's how I'm reflecting upon it after being in the corporate sector for more than 30 years. But, when I look back at myself, how I would have been at the age of 30 or late 20s, I had no inkling of what it is to be an entrepreneur. There was no thought process at that time available, or no support, no, kind of inspiration from any source that, Uma, stop trying to be somebody in the corporate sector, go set up something of your own. That never struck me right until the age of maybe when I was in my mid 40s or thereabouts. So it's also that calling that is required. You can't create an entrepreneur. It is a calling which has to come from within. You can't train somebody to say, okay, you go do this 2-year course and you'll become an entrepreneur. So there are a number of things like these which will have to come together. I hope I have answered your question, Zina.
Yes, right. And one more quick question, like how your marriage to Ganesh changed your life? I mean, a lot of women, their life changes when they marry. I mean, it would have been different otherwise, or, I mean, husband many a time shape up your life and your life changes because he's doing something else, or because he's in that industry. And I have heard a lot of stories from Ganesh. That's why I'm asking this question.
See, fundamentally, I mean, it's very difficult to imagine or think about, would I have done anything differently from what I'm doing today? Because as a person, I don't think I have changed. And maybe if when I look at Ganesh again as a person, he hasn't changed in terms of fundamental beliefs and fundamental values that both of us stand for. Ganesh also grew up in a family where women were hugely respected. His mother was a teacher, and mother, gave equal importance to both him and his sister. So he never had an iota of doubt in his mind that I'm just going to give up my job and stay at home. That was never the question. But certainly there are certain learnings and certain influences both of us have had on each other. I think in Ganesh's case, he's a phenomenal networker, and his excitement and enthusiasm that he brings into anything that he takes on, that is something that has definitely helped me, in terms of rising my spirits when my sometimes chips are down. That enthusiasm and excitement has really helped me overcome some of those situations and once again get up and run and do things the way I want. And in similar ways, if I were to look at in what ways I might have influenced Ganesh, it's particularly to do with art, music, the fact that you can take a very complex thing and you can still try to get, make sense out of that and make it simplified for everyday thing. These are some of the things that I really cherish, and maybe these may have influenced him in some ways, and some of the investments we have made together is because of this shared passion. Women run businesses, or something which is aimed at developing or preserving arts and supporting that kind of fine arts system in the country. So those are some of the shared passion areas. And I think for a successful marriage also, as it is in the workplace, shared vision is so very important. Shared values are very important. As I mean, many of you here who have had successful partners in your lives would have realized that companionship helps a great deal, brings a great deal of balance in terms of what you're trying to do, and therefore enables you to take on new challenge from time to time.
Yes, well said, Uma. Thank you.
Thank you very much. There was a question from Umesh, and I think Umesh, you can go ahead.
Yeah, good morning, Dr. Uma. It was delightful to know what challenges you faced in your corporate career and all that. What I am thinking is that in the workplace, many women
Have we lost Mr. Jalan?
Umesh? Yeah, he's okay. Anyway, we will take maybe later. Anybody else?
Yeah.
Last
Niruji has a
question.
question.
Niruji, please, you can ask the question.
Niru can
Okay.
go
So
first.
let
Thank you.
Vikram ask first.
No, we will go.
No.
Niru, then Vikram. I think anybody. You choose yourself. No problem.
Okay.
Vikram, you can
Thank
go ahead.
you.
No problem.
Thank you. So Uma, I think that was a very inspiring and very raising talk. Thank you for that. But I was wondering that, in during your career and in various times, uh, did you come across really, fire-eating, aggressive, entrepreneurial women? Yeah, people like some of the more iconic male entrepreneurs. Did you ever come across them? And if you did, I'm talking about Indians. And if you did, what was your impression about the special qualities that brought them to that level or took them there?
I would think, I mean, definitely, if you look at Apollo hospitals, the sisters who are running, I mean, they are aggressive, they are knowledgeable, they do phenomenal network. They know their stuff, what they're trying to do, and they are also trying to influence the government, influence the stakeholders. So I really admire the Reddy sisters. And when you look at people like that, that's where you know that if you know your stuff and you know where you want to get to, nothing can stop you. So each person has a different ambition and different things that you feel you want to achieve in your life. So in a sense, you can't really compare. But definitely, I mean, people like them, when you look at, you feel that sort of an aggression has helped them. And at the same time, you look at a Mother Teresa. She was not an entrepreneur in that sense, but she was building a social organization. She was quietly aggressive in her own ways. It was not something that was explicit. So my takeaway is, whichever type of organization that you want to build, um, you need to have conviction, and you need to have the resolve, and you need to look at what kind of personality you are. So based on what are your core strengths, you go out and build that kind of an empire, or whatever you're trying to do. That is my short answer, Vikram.
Super.
Thank you.
But in your opinion, just one second, Colonel Mishra, this is
Yeah,
too
please.
good an opportunity to miss out on. So, Uma, in your opinion, what would be, the top 2 or top 3 must-haves for women to succeed, irrespective of the type of personality they have and the type of business they do?
You're saying whether it is corporate world or entrepreneurial world,
yes,
what are the top
anywhere.
3 qualities?
Yes.
So first of all, I would think clarity of purpose. That's extremely important. The second quality I would say is the ability to present. As you grow in your career, more and more, you need to convince others what you stand for. Yeah. It's the ability to articulate and present your idea, whatever it may be. That is the second. And the third is the ability to get things done. These 3, I would think, would be, in my view, top 3 qualities for anybody to be successful. For you to be taken seriously, you need to be able to give the confidence to the other person that you leave it to me, it'll get done. That's the reason I said.
I think they're all very important. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Umesh has joined. Umesh, quickly, can you share your questions?
Yeah, sorry, my
yeah,
connection got.
No problem. Go ahead.
My understanding was that sometimes the things happen in the natural way, what it is happening with the organization, and your superiors and subordinates are behaving in their natural way. But the women themselves feel the gender biasness, and they feel like that, oh, it is happening because to me only because I am a woman. So this type of experience situation with the women, what would be your advice to them, or what would be your what are your views and comments on that?
No, you're right. I mean, many a time this does happen, that when we are not confident about our capability, when we do not have the wherewithal to deal with the challenges around us, then the natural inclination, whether you are a man or a woman, is to find fault with something else and not look at your own self. So yeah, that does happen. And the only thing I can say on behalf of such women is to first reflect within yourself and try to be on top of things. Try to take charge of the situation and don't let yourself be a victim of the situation. And when you take charge of the situation, you can find solution. It's not impossible to find a solution. As I said, in the case of what happened to me in Nasik, that was a huge lesson. And since then, I have never ever felt that when somebody says no, I mean, I got to figure out how I can. I mean, I have only two options. Either I should submit myself to believe that I'm a woman, that's why the whole world, doesn't want to support me. Or I have to forget that I'm a woman or a man. I have to get this done. And how do I get my work done? So that would be my advice to women. And yeah, but then if there are men who are, organizations also have to take care that there is an explicit, transparent policy that we do not actually advocate or support any outwardly harmful behavior towards women. That is also equally important for women to flourish in such organizations.
Thank you, Umaji. And last question from Niruji. Over to Niru.
Yeah, Uma, all my compliments for this session. It was so interesting, and all your experience was really inspiring and motivating. So now I want to say that I am unemployed and I want a job under your guidance. That is what I want to ask.
Neeru, you are such a successful entrepreneur, social activist, and whatnot.
No,
So,
but
so there's a lot that I can learn from you, Neeru, the way you have really shaped several initiatives in Rotary and other places. So it would be my pleasure to team up with you and do some meaningful work together.
thank you, thank you, thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone, and thank you, Dr. Uma. Before proceeding further, I would like to welcome Silpa, Silpi, Sanjana, Anuja, Mridal, and Atul. I hope I'm not leaving anyone. Very warm welcome early morning to join session, amazing session of Dr. Uma Ganesh. Proceeding further, I would like to invite Rotarian Sandeep Besh, Honorable Member Advisory Board, to extend formal vote of thanks. Over to Sandeep ji.
Good morning, everybody. What a morning. Listening to illustrious career of Dr. Uma, I'm sure a lot of people over here have got inspired, and they must have been thinking that how one person can do so many things in life. Actually, there's a saying that do not demean something just by saying thank you. So I'm not going to thank Dr. Uma today like we do most of the time for just coming and being a speaker to us. In fact, I would like to thank her on behalf of the scores and millions of people whose life she has impacted. I think she deserves thanks from the country, because that is where she has been impacting people, impacting this country, impacting our entrepreneurship and corporate world in general. And second is, I would also like to thank her on behalf of the people, those who are going to take inspiration from her and go and build a different, better career for themselves, because now she has already paved the path. So they know that this can definitely be done. So this is absolutely phenomenal. And what we can do to thank her in person is that carry this baton which she has lit, which she has ignited forward with our Rotary efforts in our organizations, and as an individual, if we take it forward, that would be the best and the only way to thank Dr. Uma for being here with us this morning. With that, on behalf of everybody present and people even who are not present, who are going to be maybe listening to it on YouTube or something, I would like to thank you. Thank you, Dr. Uma. We look forward to hearing you once again, because these kind of tonics need to be given again and again, not only once. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for inviting me. And I would like to really also thank some of my friends who have been present here today. Yeah, enjoyed this morning interaction with all of you.
Mishra, you have announcement.
Colonel Saab, you are muted.
I have an announcement, Mishra.
Rohit, go ahead. Go ahead. Rohit, go ahead.
Riversiders, please note that on 28th June, in the morning for the district conference, we have our guest, Devdutt Patnaik. He is going to speak for 1 hour. And I would like you all to please kindly log in and to attend this session. This time the district conference is virtual and it is free for all. Links will be sent by the secretary to all. Thank you.
Thank you, Rohit. Thank you very much. I would like to invite Rotarian Vikram Puri for sharing one-liner. Over to Vikram.
I think, Uma has inspired this one today. So if you spend your life waiting for a chance, then you're going to spend your chance waiting.
Oh, great. Thank you. Thank you very much, Vikramji. I would like to invite Rotarian Sandeep back to crack joke, as usual, tradition of the Rotary Club Pune Riverside. Over to Sandeep ji.
Good morning and thank you once again, Colonel Sahib.
Sandeep, please.
हाँ जी, मैं रोहित जी का वेट कर रहा हूँ.
Rohit, please mute yourself.
Okay, so there is this corporate joke going around which says that they always make you feel useless till the time you apply for a leave. Okay, there's another one which I have shared earlier also, but I think in this environment today it fits very well, and there may be a couple of people who have not listened to that. So it goes like this. There was this board meeting going on, and the chairman cracked a joke, and everybody is on the floor, turning, tumbling, and holding their tummies, except only for one person. So this CEO comes to him and says, "Did you not understand the joke?" He said, "No, sir, that is not the case. It's just that I resigned yesterday."
Thank you very much. Thank you, Sandeep bhai. There is one announcement, friends. Our next meeting is scheduled on coming Wednesday, 6th June 2021. Time is as usual 8:30, and keynote speaker is Major General Harsha Kakkar, retired. He will be speaking on a very interesting topic: China's action on South China Sea and its impact on India. It's very interesting topic. Please block the date and time in your calendar and make it convenient to join. I will request all the members present here and all the guests present here to please join. We will send the link. We have already overshooted the time. So we are very thankful to Umaji. It's amazing. I must say, everybody has spoken about a talk you have given that has been inspired. We all have been inspired by that. So with these words, stay healthy, happy, safe, and blessed. And I would like to seek the permission of Dr. Uma Ganesh to allow me to end the meeting of the team.
Thank you very much, Colonel, for having me in this program.
Thank you. We are blessed to have you today, ma'am, and we will be having more like that. It's our benefit, and there are a lot of takeaway. So thank you very much, and good day. Jai Hind to all of you.